Hi, I'm Danny Ryan, VP of Marketing at Freewill, and this is episode 157, the Two Ball Brothers and a Microphone podcast, where we talk about the people, process, and technology to work together better inside of enterprises. This episode was recorded on May 24th, 2018. In this episode, I'm reunited with Tommy to discuss how he handles the problem that I call not another inbox. That is, how to handle all the incoming notifications from Office 365 apps like Outlook with incoming email, Teams with incoming alerts, Yammer with another inbox, and LinkedIn yet another inbox. Through this discussion, we come up with a practical approach to handling the chaos. Enjoy this episode, and thanks for listening. Hello and welcome to the Two Ball Brothers and a Microphone podcast. This is your host, Danny Ryan. I'm here with Tommy Ryan. Hey, Tommy Ryan.
I'm back, baby.
What's going on? You've been a little busy lately, haven't you?
I have. That's a good thing.
Yes. Very busy. You sent me your what I did yesterday, what I'm doing today list yesterday, and it made me get on the floor and cuddle into like a fetal position and go like, oh, a lot of stuff going on.
There is.
It's good stuff. A lot of Jive migrations going on.
It's a big thing. Migrations in general, SharePoint to Office 365 and Jive.
Nice.
Migrations.
Nice.
Very hot. Very hot.
Great stuff. So I wanted to get together. Number one, it's been a while since we sat down and did this, so just spend some time talking about something that is near and dear to our hearts. And today I've been thinking about, I've wanted to discuss this with you for a while, which is, I always wanted to do a blog post called Not Another Inbox.
Right.
And it has to do more with how do you manage all of the things going on inside of Office 365. And this may be from more of like a personal productivity standpoint. And let me give a little bit of background, and then let's just sort of talk about it, brainstorm a little while, and see if we can come to any conclusions about what's worked for you, what hasn't worked. Maybe some challenges that exist right now with managing the overabundance of information. And so let me see if I can set this up for us. One is we've, for so many years, we've been used to using our Outlook inbox as sort of our way of information coming in and handling that information. Using that as a tool for us for managing what's coming into us. And so then through the years, there's been things that have come out that add another inbox to what we're doing. So for example, you have Yammer, and Yammer has an inbox. And then you have, more recently the Teams, and it's not really an inbox, it's usually people mentioning you, which is the same effect as having an inbox. It's one of those things where you need to pay attention to something and to handle that something as well. And then there's other things like, I noticed with Microsoft's acquisition of LinkedIn, there's another inbox that's in there. And sort of you've got incoming things coming from that. And then there are other things that are out there as well. We're not using things like Slack right now, but that's another place where you could have incoming messages. You've got your whole Skype, where you could have people trying to get to you that way through Skype or through Teams chat. And how do you handle, what do you do? There's a lot of ways that people now, it's just moved from, okay, before I could handle things through my Outlook inbox, I could prioritize them, I could set up follow-ups to them. And now there just seems like there's several different ways that you can get incoming requests from people. And how do you deal with this?
Yeah, I think it is a challenge. It is yet another place to divert your attention, and it's nice to have simplicity. But I think there's a wise person said a long time ago when we were working with the folks at Jive, one of the persons that they hired as kind of a consultant to come in and think about.
Oh, you're not talking about me. Okay,
no,
I'm talking about somebody else. I thought you were going to say something about that. I don't know.
Is content is not king, context is king.
Okay.
And I think one of the things that we're seeing evolve around inboxes and around how to interact with people is to give context to that. And, what's worse than an email that has no subject line?
Yeah.
It comes in and you've got to read, the body of it to kind of tease out what's in there. Trying to understand, is it important to me? Do I need to pay attention to it? You end up getting CC'd on a lot of things,
Yep.
and even on the two, if someone just replies to all. And so it's great that we have an inbox and there's mechanisms to control follow-up around that. But what I find to be more valuable as we see these other inboxes is the context it provides. So I am enjoying having interactions in teams where there's a conversation thread around a document, and that when that conversation needs my attention, it shows up as activity for me to go look at. But if I'm not involved with that, but I'm curious about it, I can go peek into that and see that conversation thread, even though I'm not directly being pulled into it. And I can't do that with email. I can't peek into other people's inboxes to see conversations that might be beneficial to me to get context around information content. And so I think that's very powerful, although it does create the challenge of yet another inbox. And, what Microsoft and other folks do is they realize that your final inbox is your email. Job tried to kill email. I remember, days back said, long gone are the days of email with this new social business collaboration kind of platform. And it didn't kill it, because I think the inbox is that final destination of the notification that, hey, there's something there you need to pay attention to. And Teams does a great job of, okay, it's been an hour since this is mentioned you. Let me send you a reminder in the inbox. And if I want to have, quote, a centralized task management of did I look at something, I can use that inbox as that cue to say I'm going to flag that, and so I don't forget to go check on that. At the end of the day, you've got the read and unread, within Teams, and but it's not as sophisticated as an Outlook inbox.
It's almost like I want to be able to flag some of it. Like I want to, some of them I read it and I have something I need to do with it. So how do I don't want to not, so that's almost where in my inbox, I'll flag it and I'll say, and flag it for follow-up for tomorrow or for next week or whatever. One of my frustrations right now with Teams is I've got an inbox and then I don't have a way of saying, okay, I've read this, I need to do something with this, and I can't get it. One of the fundamentals of task management is to have one place to go with all your tasks.
Right.
It seems like you're switching, you're jumping from one thing over to another, and you're not able to unless I manually go, I'm gonna go into my, go create a new task to deal with that thing.
You would love that maybe To Do could solve that problem.
I'm gonna punch you in the face. I would love it if I could share To Do with my wife at home. And so.
I think what you end up resorting to is something like Todoist or Wunderlist or something that you hate it. You have to retype it in. So if it's really that important, you're going to have to put it in a to-do that is your central to-do.
Yep.
And another technique I've used is things in Teams. It's nice that if you go look at it and you didn't, quote, click on it through the activity inbox there, if I've looked at it, it's going to mark it as read over in the inbox. And if I see something and I know I want to come back to it and I don't want to create a task, I just right mouse click and say mark it as unread. And that way it's still out there. No one likes that bold, unread inbox. It drives you crazy not to have the inbox read. At least me. I think that's common with a lot of people that, some people have that zero inbox where they don't want anything in the inbox, and I'm long past that. For me, it's nothing unread.
I'm a zero unread.
Yeah.
Type
Yeah.
of. So if it's been read, then it's been processed. It's not that,
Right.
that's I've switched over to that for years, and it's just that works for me.
Yeah. I do that too, and I use the flag for you got to get to this,
Yes.
within the next day or two, or we're going to miss the opportunity.
Yeah. And I guess one of the, and I agree, that seems to be the way of handling. Like what I like is you want to have whatever you're using for task management to set priorities so that you're focusing in on the right things. So the quadrant 2 things and quadrant 1 and quadrant 2. But it seems like the other inbox is like you're either using it, if it's been processed, it's been read. And if it's taken care of and you don't need to address it, then it's in a red status. And I'm also talking right now as well, like LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
You have your LinkedIn inbox that's out there, and if I don't need to do anything else with it, it's just been marked as read, and I typically don't do anything more with it. If I need to do something more with it, then I keep it as read, and then maybe if it probably you can handle it, like the getting things done is if I can do it in 2 minutes, do it in 2 minutes and
That's
take
right.
care of it.
Mm-hmm.
Or if it needs to be longer, then I need to mark it as an actual to-do item that follows into the priority of everything else that's on my plate.
Yeah.
And maybe that's the sort of the key point of, the additional inboxes that are out there, you just work with them on a read and unread basis. And then if it's something that will require more time, then it needs to go into however you centrally manage your tasks.
Right. Yep. And that's the way I do it. And another thing that I do, I'm looking at your whiteboard, is the things that are quadrant 2, really, really key, kind of that annual goal that you're trying to chip away at over the course of the year and not lose sight of. I'm putting some of those things on my whiteboard too. Mm-hmm. And, in the role of helping clients make those arrangements for us to do work with them, mm-hmm. AKA sales, I put I've got a matrix of some of those key ones that are out there that I feel like I've got to stay on top of that.
Yeah.
And if I leave it in the normal kind of arrangement of Outlook and Teams and files on my desktop, mm-hmm. that I'm gonna lose track of something. And if I have it on the whiteboard, it's something that I peek up at, maybe once, twice, 3 times a day, that, that's what I want as my next step mm-hmm. there, or that's where that's sitting. So mentally, I'm staying on top of the big rocks.
How, with regards to, do you check, like, do you have your Outlook running all day long? Do you have it always, is it always mm-hmm. there and always running? So it is.
Yes.
And then your, same thing with Teams, it's always up, it's always running. Do you ever feel like you get to the end of the day and you feel like you've checked your email, you've followed up with things, and then maybe you've gotten, I have some days where I feel like I've followed up and I've done good at, had requests come through, but not sure if I'm really effectively using my day. Like, I'm wondering if I should have my email on for certain periods of the day, and then have periods. It's almost like I like yesterday I was trying the like the Pomodoro type of thing, where I say mm-hmm. I've got 30 minutes. I need deep work, and if I can't contact, like if context is key, mm-hmm. staying on one thing, like I've got a research subject and I want to focus in on this for the period of time. I find like if I've got my email and it pops up and I see something interrupting me to go after it, it's so tempting to jump off to it, to switch on that, and where I can never get into deep work, where I can mm-hmm. just always be working on whatever that last email is or whatever's jumped up for that day, but I don't have the time to go after something where I'm thinking about, putting some thought into something and not having the time to really do what people are calling deep work.
Yeah, and for me, it's putting on the headphones, so that's a signal to people around me because I'm in a room with other people, and it's also seeing a space in your calendar.
Yep.
And then when I go into that deep work, I get pulled into what I'm doing, and I don't, even though I might even have email toast popping up, I'm not being really distracted by that because I am diving deep into something that I want to get to a certain point with it. I also use, and it's VIP within my iPhone that I can set certain people that are people I need to respond to quicker than normal, and that I know that I'm rarely going to get an email from that person, and I want to make sure that it doesn't get lost in the shuffle of the 100 emails that come in.
I have a feeling I'm not in this VIP list. This thing that you speak of.
It's people that maybe email me, 3 or 4 times a year. And so I have some of those that I want to really catch and be very responsive to. So that's just another technique that I use. Because sometimes I can lose email that it shows up and you're clicking through and you forget to go back and mark it as unread, and that VIP, to me it pulls it to the top out of the kind of the mess of a bunch of email.
Well, this was good. This was helpful to me, so it's hopefully helpful to the listener. Next time, I want to talk a little bit about the state of, this is near and dear, the state of task management inside of Office 365. And what I can talk about how I'm trying to use Planner and what things I've been trying recently, and just trying to how do I manage this? And it's more it might be from more of a personal productivity, but I'm also trying to figure out, I don't, one of the big things around here is make and keep commitments. And so, how is it that we can do this with each other? And right now, it's I can send you an email and say, I want you to, how do we have some place where we're able to make and keep commitments? And so I'm trying to, right now I'm experimenting with what we have, which is, I asked this question last week to Mike Gannonet. I can never say
Gannonetti?
Yeah, and I asked him about, what's the state of task management, and he's basically, when you're working within groups, it's Planner, so that's fine. Tell me what that right. is what it looks like it is, and he had his normal response about to do and his frustration, I'm sure, with it as well. He's just using it personally, but how do we do this within a group, and how do we? But there's a part of it as well where I feel like I'm assigning I'm assigning a to do to you, and how is it that we can work together and make commitments together, and what does that look like on Office 365 if people have that, and if it doesn't, if that isn't there, and if it's you and I are been using Todoist and shared lists and stuff like that, what is it that people need? This just seems like core to any business is how do we, as a team, how do we make and keep commitments together where there's a place that you can go to, and I'm relying on you for this, and you're relying on me for this, and making those commitments. So if maybe next time we get together, if we want to talk about that.
Sure. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. There's more than tools. I think there's some quote process elements to that
Absolutely.
I think help with it.
And I think today what was interesting is part of this is the process has to be light. It has to be make sense and lightweight. And something that's repeatable, because humans left to their own devices, they go to very simple ways of interacting. So that process has to be something that definitely works.
Right.
And has positive feedback cycles but yeah, let's get together next time and talk about that. This was interesting. This was helpful for me today. So
cool.
Appreciate
it's good
the time to sit down and talk about the not another inbox, not another. So the conclusion from this is really everybody has their own, and it should be one central place where they're managing tasks, so that they can set priority on them and really, be able to make sure that they're spending their time well. But with the additional inboxes, the additional ways that your information is coming in, it sounds like you and I use the read versus unread as far as whether it's been processed. And then based on that, you might use the 2-minute getting things done rule, where if I can get it done in 2 minutes, take care of it then. If I can't, then mark it as unread and either throw it in as a to-do into whatever you're using for task management, or just leave it unread so that you can come back to it.
Yep.
Cool. Great. Thanks everybody for listening. Thanks for doing this, Tommy.
Sure thing.
Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye.